Hi guys, welcome to a new FDMI 21 video, and today we are facing the brakes. So firstly what you want to do is imagine you have a caliper and some pads over there with a caliper carrier and everything, and then what you want to do is get a 12mm, which I did have on a socket and a ratchet for the bolt one, and unless you have a deep one you'll need a spanner for this one to undo it. But once you've undone it without rounding them off, which you can do very easily, so try to be careful. If not, you're just going to have to either cut them off or use a bolt extractor to get them off. And you want to take these off the discs, and then we can get to work on taking the caliper and pads out. Okay, and now you join us on the other side where we actually still have a caliper with the pads in and the carrier still on. What we want to do is there's these little clips which we just want to remove. These ones here, take those out and put them somewhere safe, like on the floor where you're going to lose it. And then once you've taken that out of the top and bottom piece, you just want to tap these back, and then you just want to grab your screwdriver, put it in between and knock the carrier down, the caliper down slightly, and then you just want to grab the back of the ledge and just put your screwdriver in and against and just lever it out and pull it up to take the caliper off. Super easy, which is great. So I've just tapped out these little pieces on the top and bottom. Obviously they go in like that, if I don't drop them all, with the little tab piece that goes up against the carrier. And then yeah, you just tap it out that way, and then I will just show you this coming out. So I tend to just leave them down here and then try and get the screwdriver in against the pad rather than against the clip if you can. Sometimes you need to sort of knock it up and down a couple of times just to free it all up, and then just going to knock it down again. And I'm going to remove it by getting this lip over there, and then once it's all loose it just sort of falls off, and then put it somewhere safe over there for now, so that we try not to get any weight on it and ruin the caliper. And then we want to take the pads out. So I'm just going to grab a screwdriver, just put it in and attempt to remove these old pads. So I'm not worried about their condition when they come out, so let's just get rid of those. Sorry for the bad camera angles, it's just me doing it at the moment. So they're out of there. We will clean this up with a wire brush and a screwdriver, but now we need to remove the carrier. So back to the other side now, and here's one I made earlier. So essentially this top and bottom bolt here holds the carrier on to the disc, and obviously the disc is normally up here, but this one has fallen off. So yeah, the carrier is normally on there. What you want to do is undo the bottom suspension bolt for the hub carrier, 19mm nut and bolt. You want to take them out, and then you want to take off, I believe it's a 17mm nut, which is on the end of here, which goes like so. And then once you've got that nut off, you can take this extension piece off, which goes from the carrier to the other carrier, and then you can remove the 17mm nut, well essentially stud, and a 17mm bolt from the bottom. And then once you've undone those, the carrier comes off, which is still has the pads in on this side, but yeah, that comes off, comes out like, obviously it goes like that, with the disc on there obviously. And then yeah, that comes off, and then you can take your disc off then. If it doesn't fall off, give it a good smack with a man's hammer and it'll come right off. And then I normally just clean up this little bit, this little area here. And then you want to put your new discs on there and get the carrier back on once it's all cleaned up, of course, as well, because these pads can get quite tight in there. As you can see, they're not just coming out with finger force, which isn't ideal. So we'll clean one of those up on camera. With the pads out of the carrier, I get a screwdriver and I remove any deposits from the top and bottom pieces like so. Obviously both hands pressure. With this on the floor is much easier, but holding the camera isn't so easy. Anyway, then I go over with a wire brush in there and just generally over it, just to make sure all the contact pieces and everything are clean and that there's no loose rust everywhere. So I'll do that and then we'll have a clean carrier. The disc on this side won't come off, so let's just line up a shot. This here is the brake disc on the other side. The other one just fell off. This one, as you can see, when hammered, has, well, it's just snapped. So I'm just going to get a crowbar and try and take this off now. I've lubed it up with a bit of WD-40 around there, see if we can actually get the thing off. That'd be great. Otherwise, I'll be angle grinding it and taking it off. But yeah, that's what can happen. Well, a lever bar did nothing, so I just hit it hard with a hammer until it shattered across the top, and then yeah, it came right off then. Yeah, they proper break if you hit them with the big hammer. But yeah, that's properly stuffed. So yeah, now let's find some new pads and discs, which are conveniently over here. We have, well, I've used these quite a few times now and I'm quite happy with them, so I'll keep on using them. They're cheap and cheerful, but they're good quality as well. They're Borg & Beck branded brake pads, and they come with those little plastic wear things as well. You just got to reuse the metal clips from the old pads when you stick them in on the top. Then we've got some QH brake discs, if I can open them here. We'll just compare this with another one. Obviously we want to make sure they're the same. I've used those brake pads before, so I know they're correct. But these, yeah, they look about the same, and they've obviously got the same amount of holes, so that is exactly what we want. So we will be fitting QH brake discs and the Borg & Beck pads. So now that we've got the old discs off, I'm just going to grab a wire brush and go over the hub area just to get rid of the worst of the surface rust on here. Nothing major, but gives a bit of contact for the wheel. Doesn't make it as tight going on then, just makes putting it on a little bit easier. And then obviously we've got our new QH brake discs, and we've just retrieved our 12mm locators. Just going to line it up with all 4 bolt holes in the 2 locators, which only go one way round for some reason. And then we just want to put all the bolts in and do them up. So I've got my 12mm on a ratchet as we had earlier. Let's just do that up, and then I'll grab a spanner so that we can do up this one. Don't need to be majorly tight. In fact, you don't want them to be majorly tight, because then next time you come around to do it, they'll be impossible to take off, which nobody wants. I think this one's been half rounded before, as the spanner doesn't go all the way on. So if we can get it most of the way tight, that would be great. That one's good, and one last bit on the spanner there, if it'll go on at all. Yeah, these always round off for a pastime the way they get tight. But yeah, there we go, that's on. Now we want to look at the carrier. So we've got a wire brush carrier, so we know that where the pads are going to go in, it's all smooth. And what I've done is I've got on this side, the bolt that holds the spacer piece, I don't know what to call it still, the piece that goes from the hub carrier to the caliper carrier. This bracket, it's a bracket, that's what I need to be calling it. Obviously the stud that goes into the caliper carrier goes like that, and then obviously this is bolted on. This was all rusted up and quite tight, so I just put a load of WD-40 on, wire brushed it a bit more WD-40, and then went over with a spanner and a ratchet, and it did come undone. So that's a bonus. So now we just want to get the carrier on, although I haven't got the bottom bolt out, which we'll grab in a moment. Just make sure we move the dust cover. Dust cover? I suppose it's a dust shield of sorts. And then it's going to take a bit of effort get this to sit properly and start on the caliper carrier. But once it's started, there we go. There we go, I did actually have the bottom bolt. So I'll just put that in. These are the 17 mils, and then we just want to do them up. Now that we've done up our bottom bolt and our top stud, we want to persuade the bracket in for the carriers. We want to first take the bottom hub carrier bolt out so that you can actually persuade the bracket in, and then you want to put the nut on here and put the bolt back in, and then you want to do all of the bolts back up for these ones as well, and then we'll be all sorted on the bracket side. So my calipers were pretty much all the way back anyway, but I used a G-clamp just to make sure it was the piston was wound all the way back. You can also use water pump pliers or something similar to make sure it goes back. You can even use a pad, an old pad on the end of the piston, just to make sure you don't damage the piston edge as well. So that's wound back. And obviously everything's done up. I've made sure all the suspension bolts are done up. I've double checked everything and that our brakes are on okay. So now I've got some copper E's, and I've got a little brush in here, which I'm just gonna brush on the edge of the top and bottom of the new pads, like so. I hope you can see that. But yeah, literally just, you know, not too much, just enough to act as just an anti-seize basically, to stop them from getting too tight within the caliper carrier and therefore having a problem. Now that we've greased the pads, we're going to put the small metal clip on the top, the anti-rattle clip I believe it is, and then we're going to fit them, which can be a bit of a jiggle, but once you've got the clip sort of depressed, it does go in quite easily, or at least it should go in easily, otherwise there is obviously something else wrong. This is the inner pad, so I'm going to put this little plastic wear piece in. I will just hammer it in all the way. So you can see, hopefully you can see, that's the little plastic wear indicator in there. And then again, we need to remember our anti-rattle clip. We need to stop forgetting things when putting things together, like with my suspension when I forgot to put the this little sort of washer piece in behind the drive shaft. Again, that is on okay. And then with our caliper, we literally just want to do what we did before. Obviously we just lifted it up from the bottom, so we're just going to fit it in the bottom, and then he says obviously nothing goes according to plan, and then we just want to push it in all the way, push it on, make sure everything's okay. And then we just want to find our sort of shim pieces. I will just wire brush them down, and then we're just going to put them in and put our little clips in the end. Literally just push them in, those ones that we pulled out to start with, and then that's the brakes rebuild done. I've just tapped the bottom clip in first, and then I've tapped in the top one, and I've put the clips in the ends. So that is new pads, new discs, everything done up, all the clips and everything put in, all the suspension bolts done up. Happy days, that's the brakes done. So we're another step closer. Right, so I've just finished the brakes on the passenger side as well, and with that we could pump out the pistons by pressing the brake pedal, and then I had my volunteer, my dad, press on the brake pedal while I did up these drive shaft nuts with the 30mm, did them up to 196 Newton meters. I'll add a supplement in the Haynes manual for you at the end. And yeah, basically done those up, tapped in the piece in the little divot there, and that's it. That's our brakes and suspension finished. So now we can get the wheels on and get the car back on the ground. Thanks very much for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one. If we just refer to the Haynes manual for the torque wrench setting, for those of you wondering, the drive shaft end nut is 196 Newton meters, and that can be found in chapter 7 of the drive shafts, hubs, wheels and tyres section of the Haynes manual there.